Hey everybody, good morning. It might be morning or night where you are, not sure. But it's time to read some philosophy. And we're going to read Martin Heidegger's Metaphysics, and we're on his little paragraph 97 on the restriction of being. Among the most ancient Greek thinkers is Heraclitus. He's a pre-Socratic, who was subjected to the most fundamentally un-Greek misinterpretation in the course of Western history, and who, nevertheless, in more recent times, has provided the strongest impulses toward redisclosing what is authentically Greek. Each of the two friends, Hegel and Hölderlin, stands under the great and fruitful spell of Heraclitus in his own way, with the difference that Hegel looks backward and closes off, while Hölderlin gazes forward and opens up. So they're under the influence of Heraclitus. Nietzsche has yet another Heraclitus. To be sure, Nietzsche fell prey to the commonplace and untrue opposition of Parmenides to Heraclitus. So he's mentioning, he's just name dropping. We got Hegel, Hölderlin, Heraclitus, Nietzsche, Parmenides. This is one of the essential reasons why his metaphysics never found its way to the decisive question. Although Nietzsche did reconceive the great age of the inception of great Dasein, its entirety, in a way that is surpassed only by Hölderlin. I haven't read any works of Hölderlin. We're gonna have to do that. But it was Christianity that first misinterpreted Heraclitus. Oh snap. Shots. The misinterpretation already began with the early church fathers. Hegel still stands in this line. Heraclitus' teaching on logos is taken as a predecessor of the logos mentioned in the New Testament, in the prologue to the Gospel of John. So contending that his logos was seen as, well, that was before and it doesn't really apply. But remember, he's talking about the Greek thinkers and how their logos was a little different, right? The logos is Christ. Now, since Heraclitus already speaks of the logos, the Greeks arrived at a very doorstep of absolute truth, namely, the revealed truth of Christianity. In a book that came my way a few days ago, we can read, with the actual appearance of truth in the form of the God-man, the Greek thinkers' philosophical knowledge of the rule of logos over all beings was validated. Whoa, that's a heavy contention. That's strange. So, Greek thinkers, this God-man, the rule of logos over all beings. This confirmation and validation is the basis for the classical status of Greek philosophy. That's a heavy assertion. I don't know if I really agree with that. According to this widespread version of history, I don't think I'd ever met a Christian who's even read Heraclitus. The Greeks are the classics of philosophy because they were not yet full-fledged Christian theologians. But we will see whether Heraclitus is a precursor of John the Evangelist after we have heard Heraclitus himself. So he's contending Heraclitus is a precursor of John. We begin with two fragments in which Heraclitus deals explicitly with logos. In our rendering, we will deliberately leave the decisive word logos untranslated, in order to discern its meaning from the context. Okay, let's see if it works. Fragment 1. But while logos constantly remains itself, human beings behave as those who do not comprehend accenentoi, both before they have heard and after they have first heard. For everything becomes a being kata ton logon tonde, in accordance with and in consequence of logos. In accordance with and in consequence of. Yet they, human beings, resemble those who have never dared anything through experience. Although they attempt words and work such as I carry out, laying out each kataphusin according to being. And explicating how it behaves. But as for the other human beings as they are, hoi polloi, the many, what they really do while awake is concealed from them, just as what they did in their sleep conceals itself from them again afterwards. Whoa, that's a trippy example. What they really do, like when you... Whoa, wait, hold on. Let's really break that down for a second. So, that's strange. So what we do while we're awake is concealed from us. Just like how when you have a dream and then you wake up and then it goes away and it's concealed in like, okay, it's gone. Some dreams you remember, but some you don't. That's a potent example, but I'm gonna need a little bit more from him to see if I wanna follow his little train track of reasoning. Hence, one must follow the together in beings, that is, adhere to it. But whereas Logos essentially unfolds, I can see why Hegel linked it up with Heraclitus in this unfolding, right? Together in beings, the mass lives as if each had his own understanding sense. What can we glean from these? That doesn't sound like Christianity to me. Not at all. It doesn't say anything that I think resembles Christianity at all. At all. Why would Jesus be Logos? This is like an energy force, a mode of reasoning, the pure word. Doesn't say anything about a demigod. I mean, this God man, and Logos is the word, and they're going to say that, what, Jesus was Logos made flesh? Seems like a stretch. It just says nothing. Logos essentially unfolds. How did Jesus unfold? What? It don't make no sense. What can we glean from these two fragments? It is said of Logos 1, constantly, lasting, is proper to it. Okay, Jesus as a figure in both Islam and Christianity, he was constant in his virtueness, but in one he died and left, so he didn't stay, whereas Logos resides forever on the earth, right? And proper to it. How does that apply to Jesus at all? Number 2, it essentially unfolds as together in beings. So, together in beings, is you trying to say that that's our humanity? That's our love for each other? That's our spiritualness, our souls that are unique to us? What is this? Together in beings. No, if you go with the Islamic view, it will be recollected with the one being, right? We won't be together in beings, we'll be together in being. I don't know if I follow him here. The together of the being, that which gathers. Yeah, the being gathers. But, so you're trying to say like heaven, the assembly? Logos is like the assembly? Everything that happens, that comes into being, stands there in accordance with this constant together. This is what holds sway. What holds sway? Others would say that it's not Jesus who holds sway in the minds of the people. How does that connect with Logos? That don't make no sense. Why single out just Christianity? And how does this... I don't see how does this connect to John the Evangelist? He's not making the connections here. Let's see. Let's keep following. Everything that happens, that comes into being, stands there in accordance with this constant together. So a congregation in a church, but there's different factions. So which one? What is he talking about? This is what holds sway. Heidegger, you're losing me here. What is said of Logos here corresponds exactly to the authentic meaning of the word gathering. Some would say Logos is a gathering of knowledge. Religion is not exactly the gathering of knowledge. Logos exists and is separate from any institution, whereas religions separate themselves into institutions. But just as this word denotes both one, to gather, and two, gatheredness, Logos here means the gathering-gatheredness. You see how he gets so wordy? Gathering-gatheredness. I gotta highlight that one right there. that which originally gathers. Logos, that would make God the original gatherer, though, not Jesus. Logos here does not mean sense or word. Also, now you're going to change it, okay? Does not mean sense or word or doctrine, and certainly not the sense of a doctrine, because we're going to go with the Greek view. Instead, the originally gatheredness that constantly holds sway in itself. So, okay, so this version of Logos from Heraclitus is that it's an original gathering. The gatheredness that thus gathers, right, and holds sway in itself, self-existing, self-perpetuating, and it's not a doctrine or a sense or word. That's... What are we just picking Heraclitus for this? Why are we picking his definition? True, the context in Fragment 1 seems to invite an interpretation of Logos in the sense of word and discourse. Exactly. And even to demand it as the only possible interpretation. Exactly, Heidegger, come on. For it speaks of the hearing of human beings. There is a fragment in which this connection between Logos and hearing is immediately expressed. If you have not heard me, but Logos, then it is wise to say accordingly, all is one. All is one. Sounds Buddhistic.